right, another update to Watching the World Burn, June 23rd. Let's get into it. I got home from the hike, and of course, I always try to scroll through the news, see if there's anything that I need to update. And the whole freaking universe changes. Oh my God. So this is a post, this is DNI Tulsi Gabbard. Only President Trump could have achieved this historic ceasefire agreement that brings us closer to peace. It was a Herculean effort that deserves the thanks of all people of Israel, Iran, Middle East, America, and the entire world. Congratulations and thank you. And of course, Trump put up a post. I won't put it up. And then, of course, you got everybody else on the internet saying, it would be one of the greatest comebacks if he pulls off a peace deal. But now we wait. Iran says they haven't achieved any proposal. And there's people all over X saying, no, there's no proposal. Anyway, so let's just kind of briefly go over what took place in the last, while I was out hiking. The Iranians launched, from my understanding, like I said, I get this information from open source sources. I obviously don't have anybody in the Pentagon or, the president's not calling me up. But there were 6 missiles launched at Qatar in retaliation for the missiles that the United States hit the bunkers with. All kinds of conflicting information on that. Right now, the word is all the Iranian nuclear material has gone underground, that the damage was minimal. I talked about that in the video. And of course, nobody knows where all the 60% enriched uranium has gone. It could be in Russia, it could be in China. We don't even know. The Russians have taken over Ceasefire in Ukraine. It looks like, what is it, Petrovsk in the Donbass region. It looks like that city's about to fall. They got it surrounded on 3 sides. So a lot of people aren't talking about the war in Ukraine. So that battle's going on. Let me go to the bookmarks here just 1 second. I mean, good God, I didn't want this video to get too long, but God dang, this shit just keeps getting crazy. I mean, I can't, nobody on earth can keep up with this shit. Let's go into today's video. So then we got DD Geopolitics. U.S. airstrike on Ifastan avoids nuclear reactors, destroys surrounding infrastructure. And I was talking about the strike. It doesn't look like Trump was trying to do damage. He was just trying to send a message, just like Iran. But, one of the things that people haven't pointed out was it was 6 missiles, and our air defenses at Qatar only shot down 3 of the missiles, or at least that's what's being reported. So that means 3 of the missiles got through. Now, some people are saying these were older missiles, so it's surprising that they sliced right through the American defenses. And by the way, Qatar's a big Air Force base. You got 10,000 people that work on that base. So, I mean, and the fact that the Iranians didn't kill anybody, that's freaking amazing. Jesus Christ. Then let's get this post out of the way. This is Lavan Gudake. And by the way, we knew this was coming. A Russian Navy warship has openly escorted tankers of the so-called Shadow Fleet through the English Channel for the first time, according to maritime analyst Mark Douglas of Starboard Maritime Intelligence Ltd. Automatic Identification Systems, AIS, data from June 16th showed that a coordinated movement between the corvette Boykov and 2 sanctioned tankers, the Slavia and Sierra convoy, was headed to Russian ports, presumably to load oil. P.S. I predicted NATO's illegal and hostile actions against Russia, including in the Baltic Sea, would entail retaliatory actions by Moscow, including escorting commercial vessels. Well, I predicted they were going to escort commercial vessels a long time ago. So I guess this guy thinks he's smart. But that's okay. I mean, I'm glad that these people are reporting on this stuff. By the way, this was... I don't know. I was going to show this video about, when Tulsi Gabbard was on the campaign trail. She said a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man that wants to end wars and not start them. I don't want to diss Tulsi. Then you got Alex Jones. USA is at war with Iran. And then he's talking about that, you know, he still supports Trump. He's just hoping that this peace deal is going out. And then you got Marjorie Taylor Greene. I spent millions of my own money traveling the own campaigning for President Trump and his MAGA agenda and his promises. And then, of course, she talks about no more foreign wars, no more regime change, world peace. This is what the people want. And then you get crazy posts like, this is our country, our choice. We are anti-war. We are fully opposed to the use of our armed forces in any manner which does not place the priority of our nation first. We fully opposed our military being used as pseudo-mercenaries while being laundered through Congress and the White House lobbyists, and then it just goes on from there. And maybe we'll do some future videos on these. You know what? I will show this video because we're not getting any information. Now, from what I understand, the Iranians, I mean, maybe this peace deal is going to go through, but why in the world would the Iranians want a ceasefire? It's kind of like Russia. Why on earth would Russia want a ceasefire? Because that would just allow NATO to rearm the Ukrainians so that they could come back and fight maybe a year, 2, 6 months from now. Same with Israel. If Iran is truly blowing the shit out of Israel, which is what's being reported, and let's just show you this video. This is what, and it hasn't been community noted. This is posted by Syrian Girl. Let's watch this. All right, so if that's what is happening to Israel, why on earth would Iran agree to a peace deal? I mean, and of course, the Iranian envoys were in Russia, and they're talking to, or I don't know if it's the president or whatever, some big freaking wig from Iran is met with Putin, and they talked together, and maybe Putin said, you know, let's do a ceasefire. That's the only way I can think of it. And maybe in exchange for the ceasefire, maybe the Russians, I'm just speculating here, okay? I'm going wildly out on a limb. Maybe the Russians said, look, we'll give you air defense, you know, S-400, S-500. We'll help you defend your country if you will just cease destroying Israel. I don't know. I mean, at this point, everything just keeps going every which way. And so let's get into me hiking around the forest. Peace out, stay free, and say hi to the boo dog. Look at the boo dog. I won't show you his junk. Let's just get him on film. Yeah, let's exploit the blue dog. He's a great dog. He hiked about, this guy's like 13 years old, man. He hiked 3 miles yesterday. I mean, today, excuse me. And it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing. I would have never thought, I kept looking back. Because if he gets too tired, he'll just flop out. And of course, we were in tall grass, and you'll see that on the video. I was worried about him getting ticks. I've checked him over. He didn't get any ticks. I didn't get any ticks. I did have flies bite on my legs. And yes, I had blood flowing down my legs. This is what I go through to make the videos for you. Let's get into the video. All right, there he is. The boss dog is back. The old battle axe gave him to me for a few days. It's always good to be out here, but the grass has gotten long. I'm trying to push him in this carriage through this long grass. Look at that grass. Whew. On a 95-degree day. I'm hurting, man. Watching the world burn. Watching the world burn. June 23rd, 2025. Let's get into it. You know, I wanted to get this out of the way. I hate talking about this stupid stuff up front. You know, if you're watching one of my videos and you want to put a comment and say, you know what, I've watched your channel and it looks really good. I think I can really expand your channel for $1 million. Just pay me $1 million. Quit leaving them dumbass, stupid comments, whoever you people are. I'm broke, man, and I ain't going to pay you nothing. I just do this as a hobby. People don't even understand that. I don't make no money. I don't care. I got enough. Man, I tell you. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest. The other thing I've got to talk about it. This blew my mind because I do call myself that cybersecurity guy on YouTube, and I'm building a new video setup, which means building a new computer, which means I got to strip down some old computers. But unfortunately, all my backup devices, because of making these videos, I actually back up my videos, so there's no, I don't know what that is. There's no room left on the backup devices. So I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to have to buy another one because I want to back up those computers before I tear them apart. And man, I went to Newegg on sale, Western Digital external hard drive, $199 for 14 terabytes. I was like, God dang, man! I remember when you just pay five terabytes, and that would cost you $150, $160 for a Western Digital passport. Anyway, so I'm once again stalled on making my new video environment. Let's get into the Israeli-Iran war. That's the big news right now. Depends on who you watch and who you believe. McGregor came out. He said it's going to be regional war. That Iran's going to shut down the Straits of Hormuz, and they could hit our bases. And boy, I tell you, and then of course terror cells here in the United States, and and so on and so forth. And man, I was thinking, boy, we're in for a world of hurt. Then you get over to Scott Ritter, who's the weapons inspector, and he says, the video I already made yesterday talked about it's a nothing burger, that they didn't hit anything, they didn't do much damage, and most everything was out of those 3 locations that Trump bombed. Then you get, you can tell I've been watching a lot, trying to figure out what the truth is to get you can't handle the truth. I'm having a hard time getting the information. So then Garland Nixon made a video. Now I don't know where he's getting his information from. You got to remember, all these people have connections. I don't have no connections. So that's why I watch them, because I figure somebody somewhere has said something. And Garland was pointing out a lot of important things. And if you want to go watch him, you can just watch him. But I'll kind of briefly summarize what he was pointing out. He said, number one, Seymour Hersh, if you didn't know, last week he put out an article saying that we were going to strike Iran over the weekend, which was definitely true. So somebody fed Seymour that information on purpose, obviously. So, and of course it proved accurate. So somebody wanted that printed out. The second thing was Garland was pointing out that we didn't do really much damage. And, he speculated, and I don't know if he was saying for sure. He's saying that the Trump administration warned the Iranians that we were going to strike and what we were going to strike with. Now, he's also speculating that it wasn't the B-2 bombers, that these were just Tomahawk cruise missiles that we sent in. So even Scott said that if it was B-2 bombers, we put the pilots at risk. So it would make more sense for it to just be Tomahawk missiles. So you can kind of see the attitudes, the information is all over the place. Now, Dmitry Medvedev, he did put out, and he says that, there are nations that are willing to supply Iran with nuclear weapons. Now, I don't know if he was implying that Russia was going to be one of those nations. We know that Pakistan has said they'll give Iran nuclear weapons, and so far, Iran has not taken any nuclear weapons. Now, as for the Straits of Hormuz, Garland Nixon was looking at it on the satellite, and he said right now there's nothing going on. There's been various reports about what the Iranians might do. You could mine the straits, that would shut everything down. I don't think they're going to do that because the Chinese depend on too much traffic through the straits, and the Chinese are close. I would say they're close friends, but they are business partners with Iran, and it's their money that keeps Iran's economy afloat.
a large portion of it, that is, anyway. Especially now that the war is on, because that means that Iran's not going to be doing any business. Well, they weren't before because they had the sanctions. But anyway, so that I don't think they're going to mine the streets. The second was that somebody said that they're interfering with the GPS signals on the tankers, which could really mess up the navigation and definitely raise the insurance rates for the, sorry man, pushing the scares. I'm dying. Oh, and that would raise the insurance rates and make it so that, and I don't know if they could selectively jam the GPS signals. So anyway, but what Garland is saying is that this was just for Trump to save face and get the Zionist off his back, because they were pushing him to do something. And this way Trump can look at it and say, yeah, I did something. And then if Iran doesn't do anything, which why would they? Because we didn't do any damage to Iran. Then Trump can say, see, they didn't even strike back. They're weak and we're strong, and beat his chest and thump it out. So anyway, that's Garland Nixon's view. And I'm kind of agreeing with the Garland. I think that is the true story. Because Trump, you know, he's got a lot of Zionists in his administration. And they've been wanting him to do something. So he did something, all right. The problem is that it really fragmented the MAGA base. And also it's going to give the Democrats talking points for the midterms. So I understand he had to do it to satisfy the Zionists. And but now, I don't know, man. It's, you know, time heals all wounds. And then if Iran doesn't do anything and we don't go any further with the war, I think the MAGA base will come back to Trump and say, well, maybe he was right after all. And if his reasons for doing it were just to get the Zionists off his back, I can't say I blame him. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt at the moment. We'll see how the war progresses from this point forward. So because I got the basket and the dog, we're just going to do some readings on the video when I get to my my bench here, because I got to kind of watch what I'm doing here, because I got to keep looking for ticks. When the grass is this long, the ticks can get up on your legs. I'm sorry to see that the county has not been trimming in here, because with the dog, I'm very limited in where I can take him now, and I try to keep him off of the asphalt. By the way, another thing is it's just you can see I got the umbrella strapped because there's evening thunderstorms, and one has been through here, so everything is really wet at the moment. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about things in general. You know, the computer, boy, I tell you, building a computer, I haven't done it in a long time. It's a big, big project. And the directions, I tell you, these motherboard manufacturers, and you know, the directions just suck. And then they put it in 16 different languages. So they only give you 2 pages in English and the rest of the manual is in other languages. And it's not even that good. And you're just like, you know, I guess they figured that anybody that's building a computer knows what they're doing. Now, I've built many computers in the past, but I usually have some sort of directions that I can follow. Got a mosquito buzzing me. Let's wait till we get to our location. We'll do some quick readings, and that'll be it for today's video. Woo! I'm hurting. Thank God I got water. It's one good thing about having the basket. I can put a lot of water in this basket. All right, not the last video, but the video before last, I read a statement by J.D. Vance, and I hit the rebuttal I wanted to read in this video. And this is from Robert Barnes of Barnes Law. If you ever want to watch, it's him and Viva and Barnes on Sunday nights. An excellent show if you want to learn a bit about the law and how it works. By the way, this is my 3rd try at making this. I had a bug inside my shirt and it was crawling all over. I was going, what the hell is going on? Oh man. All right, so I had to cry on your shoulder for 1 second. I never did see it. I think it was a beetle. I don't know if it bit me or not. I won't know till I get home and look in the mirror. First, a credit to the Vice President for publicly discussing the core issue in the dispute, opening himself up to a public responses, and engaging the American people in a direct way on a question of such consequence as war. Second, Vance leaves unaddressed the reason for global skepticism, the long pattern of U.S. lies to induce us into foolish wars, Netanyahu's 3-decade history of false claims about WMDs in Iran and Iraq, and America's repeated efforts at regime change across the Middle Eastern world for a century. Third, the big issue unaddressed by Vance, the utility, necessity, and legality of military intervention as a means of enforcing Trump's no nukes for Iran plan, and whether that's even what Israel is currently doing, rather than regime change. It's a bit of an elephant in the room, but likely the kind of conversation held behind closed doors, so its absence here in this public forum is understandable. Now to Vance's points. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, a treaty designed by us principally and signed by almost every nation on earth, including Iran, but not Israel, gives Iran the inalienable right to develop, research, produce, and use of nuclear energy for peaceful purposes without discrimination, and the containment right to participate in the fullest possible exchange of equipment, materials, and scientific and technological information for the peaceful uses of nuclear energy. I know it's a long post, but it's worth reading. Vance focuses his and the president's concern over Iran's development of highly enriched HEU 20% plus. Vance states that he and the president are yet to see a good argument for why Iran needed to enrich uranium well above the threshold for civilian use. It appears the Trump administration seeks to interpret the NPT to prohibit defense from peaceful use by focusing on civil purposes rather than peaceful purposes. But it's noteworthy that the treaty doesn't make the civil defense distinction. HEU has been recognized as having a potentially peaceful purpose, and is how the United States itself provided it to other states consistent with the treaty. Iran announced years ago its intent to develop HEU to supply nuclear medicine, and HEU is useful for developing an integral element in that, such as Molly 99. Still, Vance has good reasons to be skeptical of Iran's purpose, because the pattern is Iran doubling down on more HEU and at higher levels of enrichment as a response to sanctions or sabotage attacks. The Iran regime's long chants, death to Israel and death to America, so such skepticism makes a new turn in the context of Iran. We're just about there. That said, Iran also has reason to be skeptical of America, because the last time they did a deal with the United States, Trump tore it up. And the last time a Mideast leader gave up his ability to make nukes, he got sodomized by a bayonet. As the U.S. dropped bombs on his country, the Gaddafi problem remains a big problem for nuclear non-proliferation. Respectfully, anointing ourselves the nuke police, while we often ignore the NPT for allies and Israel and India, tear up nuclear deals whenever it conveniences us, and remain the only nation in the world to actually use nukes, is a dubious role arguably better suited to other nations that have more global credibility on the topic. In sum, Iran does have an argument. Its HEU has a peaceful purpose. Using the U.S. own prior actions related thereto, just as Vance is correct about the U.S. has a right to be skeptical. This is a reason for the negotiated outcomes working with third parties like Russia, who have credibility in Iran but also oppose Iran getting nukes. More than it justifies unilateral military attacks against another nation or a rush to regime change war. So I wanted to read that because obviously that was completely ignored by the Trump administration in the strike, although, like I said, I'm skeptical about that strike, you know. So anyway, I just thought that would kind of give you the background before the weekend's events, and then of course, you know, we're all looking back with hindsight is 2020, and you know, it's a good argument. I mean, right now, what is it? 9 nations have nuclear weapons. We don't care about that, do we? And everybody wants to point out that once North Korea got nuclear weapons, we don't go up against them. We don't bomb North Korea, do we? Just saying. So let's read some comments here. I thought these were some things. This is Dmitry Medvedev, the bulldog for Russia. What have the Americans accomplished with their nighttime strikes on 3 nuclear sites in Iran? Critical infrastructure of the nuclear fuel cycle appears to have been unaffected or sustained only minor damage. And then I might put this in at the end of the video, but below is a statement from Iran's nuclear-armed neighbor Pakistan in response to U.S. strikes on Iran's atomic sites. Pakistan condemns the U.S. attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities, which follows the series of attacks by Israel. We are gravely concerned at possible further escalation of tensions in the region. And then it gives you a long letter here. Well, let's see. Yeah, it's not that long. I'll read it to you. I got to get... The sun just happened to set right behind the tree. Pakistan condemns the U.S. attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities, which follow the series of attacks by Israel. We are gravely concerned at the possible further escalation of tensions in the region. We reiterate that these attacks violate all norms of international law and that Iran has the legitimate right to defend itself under the UN Charter. This unprecedented escalation of tension and violence owing to ongoing aggression against Iran is deeply disturbing. Any further escalation of tensions will have severely damaging implications for the region and beyond. We emphasize that the imperative used to respect civilian lives and properties and immediately bring the conflict to an end. All parties must adhere to international law, particularly international humanitarian law. Recourse to dialogue, diplomacy, in line with the principles and purposes of the UN Charter remain the only viable pathway to resolve the crisis in the region. Now, in the video before last, I read you McGregor's plan to de-escalate everything and to bring a peaceful solution to the whole situation. But also Pakistan, from what I understand, they've offered to give Iran nuclear weapons if they so desire, if Iran requests them. And then this was interesting from DDG Politics. A source from the Saudi royal family told Israeli Channel 12, President Trump informed us that the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC, countries did not approve the use of their airspace to attack Iran, and he understood this and did not use our airspace. We asked him not to strike the reactor in Bushehr to avoid the risk of radioactive material leaking into the Gulf waters, and he complied. So that's a statement from Saudi Arabia. And then I haven't verified this, and like we were talking about the Straits of Hormuz, but this is Lat 71. Iran has changed tactics in the fight against Western influence and has begun mass GPS jamming in the Strait of Hormuz instead of seizing tankers. According to Woodward Maritime AI, Iran is jamming the GPS signals amid the conflict with Israel, which has already led to the distortion of coordinates of more than 1,000 vessels per day. AIS, automatic identification of vessels systems, are massively showing vessels on land in Iranian ports, in the deserts of Oman, and sometimes even hanging out near Dubai. Among victims are 27 VLCC supertankers in at least 24 hours alone. While the Straits of Hormuz remains open, Iran is demonstrating that it is capable of causing large-scale problems without blocking the flow of oil and LNG. This can be considered a digital blockade of the 21st century, the Sloviu channel reports. And I got a nice graphic right there. All right, that's it for the video. I got to get back before it gets dark. And it's so wet that I'm afraid the bugs are going to really be out. Like I said, I already had one crawling on my back. Apologize for not bringing my mic. I completely forgot it. But if I stand this close to the camera, the sound comes out pretty good. All right, man. Peace out. Stay free. Pray for peace. All we are saying is give peace a chance. You know, on the way back, you know, one thing we haven't talked about in a while is, boy, did Ukraine leave the news or what? Remember when everybody had their Ukraine flags in the window? Yeah, Ukraine! That unprovoked the unprovoked invasion from Russia. You got to fight them off. Everybody's all excited. Anyway, and I, of course, remember the claims about North Korean soldiers and in the Sumy area. Well, it turns out that is true now. They're sending 1,000 sappers. If you didn't know what a sapper is, it's, you know, demining and things like that. Basically like a combat engineer from what I understand anyway. They're going to backfill the Russian troops. So that'll free up 1,000 Russian troops to, to basically for combat duty. Man, if you didn't know, boy, I tell you, the Russians are moving fast now. They just took a whole city. If I can get the name of it, I mean, literally almost without firing a shot. So, I would imagine without the U.S. giving weapons to Ukraine, they got to be running out of everything. And, I'm not sure how much money is left. They stole so much. It's funny, these greedy bastards. Yeah, if you gave me $3 million, I guarantee you that would last me the rest of my life for sure. And, I probably would have, I would have retired 15 years ago. It would have, because I would have just invested it and, lived modest and good life. These guys have stolen billions of dollars, and I'm hearing that some of them are going broke. I mean, that tells you how crazy that is. Anyway, it's, so I did want to just talk about that for just 1 second. Boy, look at that sun. Isn't that nice? Oh, they're going to have one more thing on the Ukraine war. I'll think of it here in a minute. We'll add another clip. All right, we're taking a break. Feeding the boss dog. There was a couple other things about Israel I forgot to tell you. It was the surprise, talked about it 2 videos ago, was Iran fired an Oreshnik-like missile. And from what I understand, it was pretty devastating when it hit in Israel. The other thing that a lot of people don't know, the last I heard was there's been 20 salvos of missiles from Iran that have hit inside Israel. Now there's a total media blackout, but the occasional video does sneak out, but I don't really show them to you because then it'll turn around and it'll community note the video and say this was from a different time, or this was actually taken from Gaza. This isn't what Israel looks like. So I don't trust any of those videos per se. Even RT, when they put them up, say, this to the best of our knowledge, this video is legit. So that's what they've been saying. They don't usually say that. They usually vet everything, but there's just no way to vet anything. And then, of course, I'm hearing that Israel has put a clamp down on people leaving Israel. And if you don't know, all the ports are closed. And then they're saying that they've only got, well, the last I heard was 12 days. So that was a couple days ago. So maybe 10 days worth of Iron Dome missiles to protect Israel from what Iran's firing at them. And then from that point, they're not going to have no air defense whatsoever. So I just thought I'd get you an update on the Israeli conflict as we finish up the video here. And get boss dog's looking good though. He just walked a long ways. Boy, I'm going to have to really check him for ticks when I get home. That grass, you can see we were hiking through that grass. It was pretty daggone deep. So I haven't seen anything on me. Well, I just had a fly biting on me. Kill him. Die, fly. I killed him. That was good.
You are a woman after my own heart. As a fellow naturalized immigrant, I feel so deep. I feel so deeply about this.
Balance this out a little bit.
My family and I, we came through JFK Airport. We waited 5 years to get our green card, another 5 years to become citizens. We followed the law to a T. And to see these hordes of people just storming the southern border, completely desecrating everything we believe in. And I want to say something very loud and clear, so there's no confusion and so there's no dissension. Law and order, Gavin Newsom, is not escalation. It's law and order. And echoing what Amy said, if you hate our country so much, then please leave. No one's forcing you to stay here. Thank you very much. And I think the most iconic thing about the situation is the chyrons that CNN and MSNBC plays all day long. You see like flumes of fire and smoke behind them, and the words underneath are mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful. Keyword mostly.